Hey guys, I hope you're hungry. Welcome back to Full Incense. My name is Jericho, and today I'm joined by TheIceMann and CyannSentry for a review of Captain America Civil War.
Hello.
Hi.
So, we saw the movie last night. Just to start off, what did you guys think about it as like an overview? In general, what did you think?
Fantastic.
Yeah, I was really pleased with it. I thought it was much better than Batman vs. Superman.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it did the moral conflicts and the reason for the superheroes needing to fight each other was much more compelling and believable.
I don't want to compare the two because I like them both a lot, and I don't think that I could choose, especially after having only seen them each once.
Yeah.
Having said that, Captain America is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely fair though. That they are quite different, and you know it's always tough when you've just seen a movie. Like you're always like, oh, it's the best thing I've ever seen. But I really do think that it'll stand the test of time and be one of my favorite Marvel movies for sure.
Definitely. So are we doing like a non-spoiler section and then a spoiler section?
Yeah. So we'll give a proper warning once there's a spoiler material, but we'll start off with non-spoiler. There was a lot that the movie did right. The plot was adequate. I mean, it was both basically just all building towards, you know, the big action sequences, but that's how these movies usually work. And it was done, you know, pretty artistically. It wasn't just like, at least it was like a kind of a thin plot, but it was serviceable enough.
The combat was really cool though. They had some great staging for all of that.
Yeah, I thought that that's one thing that the Russo brothers, who directed this and Winter Soldier in the first Captain America movie, and will direct Infinity War Parts 1 and 2, that they do better than basically anybody else is their action.
I like that they use a lot of the surrounding elements in the fight scene. Like a random basket could be, you know, make or break the fight scene.
And I also like it was well lit. You could always see, you know, what was going on and who was fighting who, and like that helped because, you know, again, not really to compare to DC, but like a lot of them are just all wearing black armor or dark armor, but in this everybody was very identifiable and different. So I think everybody knows that Spider-Man is in this movie, and I thought that was also a big success. I really liked Tom Holland's performance.
Yes, he was awesome.
But it is you know, quite a departure from if you're more used to Tobey Maguire, because he is, you know, far younger and plays it like that too. Like he's very obviously, you know, a young high school kid.
He's definitely supposed to be. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I like the 90s cartoon. That's what I grew up with. And he was much closer in character to that guy. Of course, he's the age he's supposed to be. The cartoon's actually a little old for the comic book sake, but he really played the attitude that Spider-Man supposed to have well.
Well, I disagree somewhat. For Spider-Man purists, like she just said, he's very close to how he's supposed to be. I, on the other hand, am solely a Spider-Man movie fan, and I think maybe a lot of other people are too. And it's definitely different. I think I could grow to enjoy this Spider-Man, but it's a lot different than anything you've ever seen if you've only seen the movies like me.
Yeah, that's definitely true. He totally stands on, like, there was even some similarities between Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, but this is totally different.
Yeah.
The other big new addition to the cast was Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther, and I thought he was like a revelation. He was the best part of the movie to me. just the way he carries himself and acts was, I mean, acts as in behaves, not as in does his job as an actor.
Right.
He really stole every scene he was in. His costume looked great.
Yeah, that was a great costume, and like every time he jumped from like a really high point and he landed, it was so cool because he lands like a cat. Like he really, it's got that soft little landing. Where
You're right. I
seems
didn't even really
kinda
think about
weightless.
that, but yeah, he really is like a cat.
A little
Yeah.
baby kitty cat.
Yeah, it was really cool.
He also was involved in some of the. This movie had a lot of really, really funny parts. I thought the comedy was done quite well because I think I've made mention of it in other episodes, other war stories. But I really dislike the idea of a comic relief character, and I think the comic needs to come naturally from the situations. And like, of course, in a perfect world, yeah. But my point is. To have one character just solely to be the funny one, I think, is a mistake. But this movie did not do that at all. Like, Sam Wilson, the Falcon, he was, the one that was like quickest to a joke, I suppose. But he also had like some of the darker, more serious dialogues and character arcs too. So, the comedy, whether it be how Sam and Bucky were reacting to each other as both Captain America's friends, or Tony Stark had a lot of stuff too, and that was another thing I really enjoyed and was pleasantly surprised by with the movie. Is so much of Marvel is just always just how important Tony Stark is. He's just the funniest, coolest, most important person in the entire world, and he was very nuanced and subtle this time around, and I think to reflect how his character has changed so with everything that's happened. Okay, and to get more into depth with that, I guess this can start the spoiler part of our discussion as we talk about the characters' motivations and how we feel about the details of the movie and how it will affect the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward. So the big conceit of the movie is, of course, that Tony Stark and Captain America are on opposite sides of a legislation that's been passed after there's so much collateral damage in the other Marvel movies. But what ends up really, like, they almost mend things because they realize that, that there's no clear answer and that they were being manipulated. We find out that while brainwashed, Winter Soldier killed Tony Stark's parents, and that's what makes him, really lose his mind to the point where by the end of the movie they're really
Full-on fighting.
like there's the big set piece that you've probably heard from other outlets is the airport battle, and it's also shown in a lot of the trailers, and that's where we have the big 6-on-6 knockdown drag out brawl with let's see, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Vision. Oh, I don't know. I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Clint, Natasha, Black Panther,
Ant-Man, Bucky, Captain America.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's most everybody, and Falcon and War Machine. But so that was probably one of my problems with the movie. Is it builds to that big airport fight because that's the set piece. That's what we're all here for, is to see all these superheroes tearing into each other. But after the movie, after that, there's still like 45 minutes of movie left. So I thought that the pacing kind of suffered a little bit for that.
I was okay with that because that was the more energized fight. Like, it had all those characters, and later on, you get the more intimate fight between Tony and against Cap and Bucky, and that was just more personal. It was more emotional. It wasn't as, oh wow, look at that cool move that Scarlet Witch just did. It was about Tony and his grief, and about Bucky and his guilt, and about Cap and his I guess wanting to help his friend. And it felt very, very different, even though there were two major combat scenes.
That's true. That's true.
The Money in the Bank ladder match to the world title main event, if I may.
Oh, you may. Always. I thought the character that showed the most real growth or arc was Black Panther. So his inciting event is he and his father go to help set up the Sokovian Accords, is what they call the Superhero Registration Act, which was its name in the comic books. Which
I
is,
think it's a little different though.
yeah, it is. The Superhero Registration Act from the Civil War comic event was that every single person that's a superhero needs to turn in their name and secret identity to the government, and your powers, so we know what you're capable of.
And this was more just on the Avengers.
You're becoming a government strike team.
Right.
Yeah, and it only applied to members of the Avengers. Well, you gotta believe anybody would be added to it too, because it's the Sokovian Accords for the registration and deployment of enhanced individuals. So it doesn't call for the Avengers specifically.
Yeah, but that's how it came across, was that it was more just for that group.
But anyway, so the T'Challa, who is Black Panther, and T'Chaka, his father, go to help set this up because they were involved in one of the attacks that caused civilian casualties that led to it being created. And the meeting gets attacked, and T'Chaka is killed, which means T'Challa, as well as being the Black Panther, also takes over as king of Wakanda. So he is really driven and motivated by his grief over the death of his father, and much like everyone else in the movie, because he's framed, believes that the Winter Soldier is responsible.
But he has the ability to look around and see what the guilt or what the revenge is doing to everybody else that's around him, and he can take a step back and see that that's not the route he needs to go.
Right, so he has some nice growth. I'm very curious to see his movie now. There are two after post-credits, well, I guess one mid-credits and one post-credit scene. One teasing Black Panther's solo movie, and then the other one for Spider-Man. And just because of how well Chadwick Boseman did with the role, you know, I'm even more excited for Black Panther than I was. So moving forward, I am interested to see. There's a lot of hurt between Tony and Captain America now, because it ends pretty brutally. Like, Captain America essentially destroys Tony's suit. Like, he pretty definitively. I mean, it is 2-on-1, but he pretty much wins the fight.
Yeah.
And
I thought he killed him for a second, because like when the shield went to the arc reactor and started flickering, I thought he died.
I think it was a plot point in like at first I remember, like, doesn't that keep him alive? But I'm pretty sure it was a plot point that no longer that's the case, that he was able to get it removed.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That sounds familiar. I can't remember which movie it was from.
I guess I need to watch the second one again. Was that the second?
No, I think it was in Iron Man 3.
Oh, well, I haven't seen that yet.
So good.
Yeah, that's the next on our list.
But anyway, like, yeah, he destroys the arc. Like, he is really brutal. Like, he almost kills Tony. So at the end of the movie, you know, Steve sends Tony a letter like, you know, I'm sorry, but it was, you know, sorry is basically all it really says. But
I don't think there's a whole lot resolved at all between them.
No, right. I definitely agree. Like, basically, Steve's point is, you know, if you need, like, the Avengers are yours, Bucky and I are gone, and you can, you know, if you need to do what you need to do, but if you need us, call us, because he realizes that things are really damaged between them. So I have enough faith in Marvel that, you know, it's gonna come up like in Infinity War, which I would assume is the next movie that'll have both of them. Like, they're not just gonna be comrades in arms immediately right off the bat. Like, it's gonna be, and I would wager that their rift will be why Infinity War is going to be a part 2 affair, and it won't be until a 2-part affair, I should say, and it won't be until the conclusion that they're able to get on the same page with everybody to, you know, save the day once again. So if I'm remembering the review schedule correctly, the next movie will be Doctor Strange in November, and then we have Guardians of the Galaxy the following May, I believe, and then we have Thor 3 and Black Panther, and those are all the movies between now and Infinity War.
Oh, Doctor Strange reminded me one other thing I wanted to say about Civil War. Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing an American accent very well. He was a cool character. Like, he kind of seemed like a Dark Side Coulson.
Oh, I didn't even put together that they're gonna be together
Uh-huh.
in some way again in some movie eventually.
Yeah.
Oh my
they're
gosh.
buddies. I wish he like had a bigger role. Like I wish he was gonna be a superhero or a villain or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Because he basically is a bureaucrat. But he got a lot of lines. He was you know, definitely wasn't just a cameo. So we'll see what they give him to do in later movies. But so I would say my only gripe with the movie was, you know, the plot was a little bit threadbare, and obviously just to connect the big action scenes, but they were all done so well. And I really like how they presented it in real shades of gray. Like, even though the movie, by the end, it's pretty clear that Tony was wrong and Steve was right. That's definitely the way it's painted.
Yeah.
But at the time, it really is tough to say, you know, who is more correct
Yeah.
because
Basically, whoever ended their argument last was who was right.
because there's no denying that they have left, you know, countless people dead, you know, purposeful or not. And there's no denying that when it's over, they just go home, and it's, you know, that they leave these places destroyed.
And all they really get is just to feel sad. That's their only.
And really is only in that specific situation that Tony was wrong in, because, you know, he didn't know that there really were all those other Winter Soldiers. You know what I mean? Like that both their arguments still stand kind of in general.
Right. So yeah, that's I guess the other big plot point that we have. All of the superheroes being pitted against each other and all the hoopla about that was just so Zemo, who is another character from the comics, could hide the fact that there were actually 6 more Winter Soldiers ready to go that he was trying to activate to destroy the Avengers, because he also wanted revenge for civilian loss of life. So since Tony fell into the trap and tried to detain Steve and Bucky from stopping him, you know, that's how he was more or less conclusively wrong. But yeah, like Iceman just said, they still had their arguments. They still, you know, had a lot of important stuff to say. So all in all, liked Spider-Man, loved Black Panther. The action scenes were amazing. Everybody. Another thing that I thought was done really, really well is the movie juggled having so many characters.
Yeah.
Everybody got stuff to do and some character development and some lines. Like Scarlet Witch and Vision are barely in it at all, but they were both very important, and the movie would not have functioned as well without them. And that's really the mark of, you know, why a character deserves to be there. And they call in a bunch of people just for the big fight, like Spider-Man and Hawkeye, who are Ant-Man, right, who are all otherwise not in the movie at all. But it makes sense that they're there just because they need to call in all the help they can get. So you guys have any closing thoughts on Civil War?
Go see it.
Yeah, definitely go see it. It was nice after coming off of Batman vs. Superman and Jungle Book, both of which I thought were kind of disappointing and lacking. It's nice to be able to be, you know, 100% positive about a movie. And the few problems I have with it are really like on like a movie making technical aspect and not reflective of how much I totally enjoyed it. And I really do think that I'll look back on it as one of my very favorite Marvel movies. And its biggest competition are the other 2 Captain America movies. I think easily those 3 are the strongest that Marvel has had to offer.
Definitely.
All right, well, I think that'll wrap it up for us today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If not, leave a dislike and tell us how we can improve things for future movie reviews. Make sure you subscribe to the Full Incense channel for more content every single day. We have war stories just like this going up every Tuesday and Thursday, but there's at least something for you every single day. For Iceman and CyannSentry, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Jericho, and we're full.